All right, guys, it's Paul Singh, the Market Speculator with bullsonwallstreet.com. Today, we're going to talk about what to do when a momentum stock gets crushed, gets hit really hard, and then how do we look to trade it? Is there anything we can do, or do we just back off and just take it off our watch list? It's not a momentum stock anymore. Now, usually, what happens when a stock gets crushed by bad news? A lot of that bad news gets priced in, and a lot of times it's an overreaction. So, what I like to do whenever a stock gets hit, especially a momentum stock that has been running for a while, there's been good news in the stock, there's a reason it's been going up. Usually, these stocks are very sensitive to bad news, and you'll get big dips if there's any kind of bad news. So, the first thing I do is I take a look at where that stock gapped down to, and I watch for two things. One, if that's the extent of the move. Two, if it forms a range around where it gapped down from. And I also look at support levels and upcoming potential news events. And we want to see how price reacts to those news events. So, keeping that in mind, these three things we're looking for, and then our whole idea of what to do when these stocks gap down. Let's take a look at Boeing. Now, if we look at Boeing, Boeing has been a momentum stock. I know it doesn't sound like our typical tech kind of momentum stock, but Boeing has been a momentum stock in military defense. You can see here over the last couple of years, it has gone from 186 all the way to 440. So over a 200% move. That is momentum, averaging about 100% a year. Now, look at what happened here. The stock was on fire. It was getting very extended. And then we had that big bad news, which was the crash of the jet. And after that, a bunch of countries just banned flying these things. So you can see here, Boeing took a huge hit, going from almost 450 all the way down to a low of about 360, and we had this big gap down in this very volatile day. So now this is the key level we're looking at. We know there was bad news. Now think about it. Does this bad move really change what's going on in the company? They're probably gonna have to do something to fix what happened here. But overall, I would say no, this is something that's very bad, but maybe it can ride through it. Now, we don't care too much about the news. We're going to focus on the price action. And what happened with the price action so far, this big gap down has been the extent of the down move in price action. So we had this humongous gap down here, this big wide ranging candle, and the low of that candle has essentially been the low for the stock going back to March here. So almost 2 months now. We've tested that low a few times, and key is here, it has not broken down. So we know we have a range that was formed. So we think of the three things we talked about. One is where's the gap down? Where's the range forming? We basically have a range right now from 360 to 400. Now, all the stock is in the range. We really do nothing with it. We're just going to sit back and watch. So basically, for the last 2 months, I've been watching Boeing. I've not done anything with it, but I am watching here. So we've got that range that has developed, 360 to 400. Now we want to look at any key support levels. I'm going to pull this thing out to the weekly. One thing we notice here is we have a big range here at around this 340 to 360 range, 370 range. There's a lot of support in that area, and that's basically where we gap down to, and that support has held. So that's just something to keep in mind. We do have a major support there on the longer term trend, and if we go short term now, we have these key moving averages, basically the 50-day moving average and the 200-day moving average. And not surprisingly, this is where our range has formed around these two levels. So we're going to watch these levels very closely. Does price hold the 200? Does price break out of the 50-day moving average? And so far, this corresponds with the range we have developed here. So this becomes a very easy range to watch. Now, the other thing to think about is any upcoming news events. We happen to have earnings coming up with Boeing on April 24th. I think today is the 22nd. So basically Wednesday. Wednesday is going to be a key day for Boeing. Maybe nothing really happens here and we stay within the range. But if we break out of this 400 range to the upside, that could trigger our move here. If we break below here, this could trigger our move to a test of 290. Although I'm probably not going to do anything to the short side, but the level I'm watching for Boeing right now is a break of 400. If we break 400, we could test the highs here. Maybe all this bad news is out of the way and we get that move out of here. So that's what I'm watching for right now. This range here, we got a news event coming up. Maybe that provides a catalyst. In the meantime, we don't do anything. We don't make any predictions. I am not saying Boeing is a buy here, but I am going to watch this range. If it does break 400, that could trigger our entry here to the long side.